Hello, and welcome to our last episode concerning the history of light. This is Professor Franz. I hope you have enjoyed the journey so far. We've come now to the advent of electric power, and so of electric lights. And the first electric light was not the light bulb, but an arc light. Humphrey Davy of England discovered in 1806 that carbon rods pulled a few inches apart with electricity flowing through them by use of a battery. Well, the electricity would arc through the air to the other rod, creating light. The first electric light. But those early batteries could not sustain this. So it was a very brief light. It would be another 70 years for the arc light to become a marketable product, with new electric generators turned by steam engines. Paris and London then installed arc streetlights in 1877, and in America starting in 1879. Notice how high these arc lights were. They had to be because the lights were too bright and harsh. They were put on high poles, or what they called moonlight towers, and the light covered a large area, like Detroit, Michigan here, which built 122 towers up to 175 feet high with arc lights. My first introduction to arcing electricity was as a kid watching the old 1931 Frankenstein movie, where in the lab scene making Frankenstein, they had a lot of arcing electricity in his equipment. Pretty scary and impressive to me back then. The downside of the arc light, besides being so bright and harsh, was that they needed daily maintenance. So people ascended the high towers every day to replace those consumed carbon rods. They also dropped hot ash, so it could be a fire hazard. So while the arc light was great for the night shift of a factory or very high street lights, it was not a general all-around useful light. Though the idea of raising a light to illuminate a large area is still done today in stadiums, highways, parking lots. During World War II, arc light technology produced super bright spotlights to fight against night air attacks. And the emerging film industry in the 1940s also used arc lights to project on stage. The two extremes of war and entertainment preserved the arc light. And I have a rechargeable arc lighter at home to light my candle. There are two carbon rods, and the electricity between them creates the flame. They're getting popular now. So because of these arc light limitations then, there was still the quest for an enduring incandescent light that could be practical inside and out. Incandescent being a glow from within some material filled with electricity, but yet that material not being consumed. That was the challenge, and that was the search that many pursued. A step forward was the realization of the problem that with air, the carbon and other material would oxidize and be destroyed, like those arc lamp rods. In 1865, the German chemist Hermann Sprengel invented a way to extract the air from a bulb, a vacuum bulb. They're getting closer. And then Joseph Swan in England in 1878 was able to use a carbonized cotton thread within a vacuum bulb to produce light. But the filament burned out quickly. He actually invented a light bulb, but it was not practical because the light did not last. The next year in the United States, Thomas Edison, the already famous inventor, entered the race for the long-lasting practical light bulb. He and his team tested about 6,000 different materials for an enduring filament, from coconut hairs to cork. He finally tried carbonized bamboo that allowed bulbs to last about 150 hours, and then with some improvements about 600 hours. So he submitted a patent in November 1879, and the Edison bulb successfully brought a more practical and pleasing artificial light for homes or outdoors. I like this hotel room sign then. This room is equipped with an Edison electric light. Do not attempt to light with match. Simply turn key on wall by the door. And then also, the use of electricity for lighting is in no way harmful to health. Well, people needed to be assured. Now, through the local newspaper, Edison invited anyone to visit his lab at Menlo Park, New Jersey, to see the light bulbs on display outside. This was around Christmas and New Year's 1879, and many hundreds of people came. They ran extra trains because of the crowds, and while they walked back to get the train, Edison turned on the electric street lights on Christie Street so they could see their way. This was the first street in the world with incandescent lights, the light bulb. In 1882, Edison lit up Lower Manhattan, the nation's first electrical grid. And then Edison and his crew set up a factory in East Newark to mass produce the new light bulbs with a carbon filament, and designed and patented almost every component of the electrical system for homes and for businesses: a central power station, wires, connectors, switches, and meters. Edison didn't invent the light bulb from scratch, but as an experienced inventor, he found the right filament and then helped produce the whole electric system to support the light bulb, and made this a successful commercial product. Electric lights spread to the cities of the world, and people were struck with wonder. That long quest was finally successful for a practical, harmless, odorless, and controllable light source for both indoors and outdoors. You know, when we see images like this of people marveling over an electric light, we start to appreciate how much we take our modern lights for granted. We give no thought at all when we flick a light switch. For almost all of human history, they had nothing so convenient and so powerful. Though the light bulb was another case of an urban invention because of the need for electric stations. Not until the 1930s, during our Great Depression and the Rural Electrification Administration from 1935 and forward, do we have electricity and the electric lights reaching the rural areas. Perhaps many of your parents and grandparents have shared with you how electricity finally came to their homes. So the 1800s was pretty amazing in terms of lighting. Still, we don't have to go too far back to find our ancestors depending on those enduring fireplaces, candles, and oil or kerosene lamps, do we? Our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents could tell us a lot. Maybe some of them might have still said, "You left a light burning in your bedroom." Sayings like that. My wife is Pennsylvania Dutch, and they preserved from the old German phrases like, "Please out the light." Now, the story of light innovations goes on through the 20th and 21st centuries. But our title today is The History of Light to Edison. Thomas Edison encountered Fort Myers, where I live, in 1885 at age 39. For 46 more years he wintered here, one of our first snowbirds. In October 1931, while back in New Jersey, he took ill. The Fort Myers Chamber of Commerce sponsored a citywide day of prayer for his health. And when he passed on October 18, 1931, President Hoover made the request, and at 10 p.m. in Fort Myers, along with many in the rest of the nation, they turned their lights off for 1 minute in memorial tribute to Thomas Edison. Thanks very much.